usual, Commander X and Cadus, welcome back to the show. Especially to Commander X, as you were busy last week, weren't you? Was it last week? Oh, I think it was. We had the amazing George in your stead. We considered like moving him full time, didn't we, Cadus? But
ouch.
Indeed.
Yep. Patience.
Cadus wasn't even listening there. We know.
Absolutely. We're still listening to Two Nuts. I am, at least.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's an amazing video of Two Nuts singing. Well, not video, it's just audio, but it's hilarious. It's in the channel.
Great fun. So, yeah, welcome to the show. I think it's episode 18. Thank you very much for joining us. And we might as well just get into the main news for the week. Or I say the main news. We'll go for the main news later. We'll do the all the team changes this week. Zabby, do you want to go into them first? Because I think you know a little bit more about some of them than me.
Let's start with, I don't know, the biggest news is the new look tryharders lineup, which is Taimu's managed to assemble a team that will most likely be aiming for Prem, with himself on medic, Trax and Klar on soldier, Harry Hook and the Stannis on scout, and GDK on demo.
Okay, so they still need a soldier then?
No, Trax and Klar are soldiers.
Oh, Trax and Klar. Okay, when did Klar come into that? It's not written down. You're a bit bad there, Zabby. Not done well with this list.
Written down in my mind.
Oh, okay. Well, one thing I want to talk about with that team is that they actually have 3 players from the same team as last season, which guarantees they're going to be Prem. I know, anyway, they are a Prem team, so it's like with that lineup, they should really be in Prem, especially with what's going on at the moment. Speaking of which, we forgot to put one of those things in this list. But yeah, Cadus, do you want to give me your impression on this team while I just add something quickly?
Who's the third from last season?
I was
Stannis.
thinking that as well. Oh,
Was it Stannis last season?
he was, but he dropped out early due to IRL.
Did he play a match with them?
I think he played
he
the first
did.
match.
Oh, I completely forgot. I think when Longest replaced him, it was kind of interchangeable in my memory. It was like nothing ever happened.
All his
Spanish
foreigners
scouts, just the same.
He was never there. No, we actually Bytes team. We played them yesterday, and I think it was their first game with that lineup because they tried some alternate stuff with Boomy and Ips and some other demo. I can't remember who before, but they looked obviously it was their first day. It was pretty rough, but it definitely looked very promising. Like we kind of rolled them at the start, but then they played with a lot of crits, and it was really effective for them. GDK, I haven't actually seen him much before, but he was surprisingly effective because not actually ever seen him play properly before. But yeah, it's looking really promising, I think, as long as they can stand Taimu long enough.
Speaking of GDK in specific, or in particular even, me and Zabby casted a game of the old, what were they? Unexist? Is that right? Yeah, the old Unexist lineup before they changed everything. And they played the GDK playing demo, and they literally played crits full time, and he got 45 frags, and they lost 6-1 or something. It was ridiculous.
It's a very Russian strategy, just running crits if it's not working, and GDK's had a lot of practice and is very good with them, and GDK's sick anyway.
Yeah, plus that aggression from crits probably fits in well with Taimu. So it's just whether the other players can play around that sort of thing. I mean, GDK and Taimu probably play the same sort of strategy normally. That it's whether the other players fit into it well enough to make a team out of it. Do you know what the score was, or do you not want to talk about the score, Cadus?
What, about PCWs yesterday?
Yeah.
Well, originally we raped them in 15 minutes on Badlands, so we played another 15 minutes, and that's when they brought the crits out, and I think they played the full 15 minutes with crits, and they won 4-2, I think.
Okay.
We also played Granary. I don't remember what the score is, but I think we won it convincingly. But It was the first day together, so giving them the benefit of the doubt that the good stuff they brought out, they'll be able to bring out more of it the next time I see them.
Yeah, I got the impression that when Harry Hook and Stannis, they were playing with some other people earlier last week, and then they said I got the impression that they said they wanted to try playing with Taimu, and before they'd even played with them, it seems like they've made this team and it's guaranteed.
I think basically what happened was Taimu was simultaneously making a team, and he Stannis and Harry Hook were kind of going about their business with Boomy and stuff, and at the same time Taimu was making a team and asking Harry Hook and Stannis to play with him. So Astanis basically proposed to Boomy, who he was working with originally last week, that they try Temu. At this point, Trax wasn't on the cards as far as I'm aware. But Boomy basically said he got no interest in playing with Temu, and Ips didn't want to do it really either, especially not without Boomy. So I think at that point they kind of realized that they kind of had to take like the tryharders merger kind of thing, if you know what I mean. I think they realized that's kind of the
Okay,
only
yeah.
option, and because the season signups are actually closing in 2 days or 3 days or something like that.
2 days.
Yeah, so I think I guess they just kind of realised they had to just do it now to assure they had a spot, and if it doesn't work, then I guess they'll change the roster or something, like on the
Yeah,
ETF as well.
I guess they like kind of guaranteed a prem spot, aren't they? So also probably adds a little bit more to it than just playing with new players and trying to put it all together, and then also not having screenshots to try and prove you're in prem. Um, but I think though if they actually practice together, they should be all right. But it wouldn't surprise me if they do exactly the same as that, Too Strong or Try Hard as they were last season did last season, where they just didn't practice at all, played like one game a week, and then played their official on top of that, and that was it. So I don't know at all. I think Harry Hook and Astanis want to play pretty competitively, so I have to wait and see with that. Really, anything else to add, Zavi? Anything
No,
more to
not
add with that
really.
team? All right, okay. Well, let's move on to the next topic, which is just going to be Haunter's returning to the game. He's like trying to put together a makeshift team in time for the season as well, and it's got some really, really weird names in it. Do you want to go for it, Zavi?
Let's go through it. On Medic, it's I Like to Spin. On Demo, it's Haunter's best friend Toda. On Soldier, Buffalo Bill and Larsa, and I believe Haunter is going to be playing Scout alongside Stunts.
So yeah, some really weird names there. Are they good enough to be in Div 1? I don't know.
From
I've
what I
not really
hear,
seen.
there's a lot of a lack of Div 1, so they might be good enough by default. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense completely. So yeah, I don't know. There's some players in there that are a bit dodgy, but there are some players in there that have proven themselves that it's going to be a bit of a weird one. And whether they actually do play, I don't know how much time Horns has and stuff. And some of those like Stunts, I haven't seen him play for a while. Do you know when the last time he played was, Savvy?
He played around Christmas when I was trying to put a team together for a while, but had to drop out just real life. But he's been around like for the last sort of month or so, on and off. I don't know how much like match time and PCW time he's actually had, but he's been around and been playing.
Okay, well, put it this way with that team, I think if Div 1 was as strong as it was last season, they wouldn't get in Div 1. But with what I've heard Div 1's going to be, they possibly will get into it as long as they get some screenshots to prove it. I think that is something that needs to be done. Cadis, anything to add with this team?
I don't know. I don't think it's so bad. Like, depending on how much they play, they could probably play last season Div 1. Like, Buffalo Bill, like, really sticks out like a sore thumb for me on that list. Like, I've never really seen him play. I've just heard, like, the relentless, like, list of jokes about him and how bad he is. So, like, obviously I assume he's bad because of that, but I don't really know. But, like, I mean, I played with I Like to Spin for the first time earlier today in a pickup 2. And he was not bad at all. Stunts is like fine for Div 1. Larsa is fine for Div 1. Haunter and Scout, I don't know. To me, that strikes me as shit. But like he was decent at heavy, which is kind of like Scout. Apart from it's not. I don't know. Okay, he's a good
Scout and
PvP.
Heavy are very similar classes.
He's smart. Okay, he's smart. Maybe he can help coordinate them. But Scout is really a shit class to do that from. So I don't know.
About to say that. Like I was say, the one thing that does stand out from this team is Haunter's got the brain of like a prem caller. But if he's playing Scout, he's not really going to be able to influence the calls that much or that accurately.
Like he's never going to know like what the combo. Like I don't know. I assume Buffalo Bill will be pocket. Larsa seems more like a roam. I don't really know actually. But either way, like Larsa's only prem experience was playing with like that Dig Brief relic, which I assume playing with Dan doesn't really do much for your like prem game sense, to be honest. So like I don't really see the combo of spin and whichever soldier really being that capable. I guess Toda will be very whiny and complaining about everything and telling them what to do. But I don't know. It, it's funny. Let's just say that.
Lars has certainly got the aim. Like he's got the skill, the talent. Like, and especially for Div 1, he'll be fine. Like with that, it will just be how coordinated the combo will be.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see really with that team, whether they do get put into Div 1. As I said, I don't think you can put them in Div 1 without having screenshots to prove that they're worth putting in there. Like, personally.
While we're on the topic, what is Div 1 like expected to be?
Well, I wanted to talk about it a bit later about what we could
okay.
like predict Prem was being, because like I've got the list, but I'm not allowed to say anything, so we can kind of guess what what Prem's going to be, which in itself shows you how bad Div 1's going to be.
If we shout out names, can you like give us like sort of hot or loud, hot or cold noises like
I think
well, you
it's
can
pretty,
work out
pretty obvious,
what Prem
really,
is going to be. So, and then you can work out definitely what 7 teams of Prem are going to be. And then the other one, you can kind of have to jump start to guess who it's going to be, right? And then that, because you know that other one that's going to be in Prem, you know how bad Div 1's going to be, okay? If you understand what I mean by that. But we'll talk about it later, and you'll get exactly what I mean. So let's just keep moving on with the teams. Let's go to Deserto news. So who wants to dive in with that, or shall I? Great, there we go. Well, last week, Deserto have been needing a scout for a little bit since Nola left, and they've now decided to pick up Sam after trialing with him last week and also trialing me. They went with Sam instead, so that means yeah, great times. So that's why I was hoping one of those two would talk about it instead of me, but oh well. So yeah, they decided to go with Sam. Cadis, do you want to talk about that?
Well, I think Sam is a nice pickup, but like under the circumstances, it's very surprising that they would pick Sam. Like I understand it's because you wanted to take a slightly more relaxed approach to the game, and obviously Skij is looking to keen it up. But for me, I think what you could bring to a team in Deserto's position is a lot. Whatever, Skij, I don't really care. I think what you could have brought to the team, even half-assing it, like I think is probably more than what Sam can bring to it, because I don't know, for me, Deserto have a lot of skill, like nowadays, and they have kind of a lot of potentially good players, but they don't really have anyone in that team who really has like a really firm grasp on like playing at a Prem level. I mean, Skij thinks he does, and I'm sure he can cope there, but he's not going to be able to like help a team develop at the same rate that like someone who's been in a top 2 team for a year will be able to do. And I think really that would have been exactly what they needed to become like, take the next step. Because I mean, they're kind of skirting around this low Prem level, and I'm sure they're going to improve a bit. But I don't know. I don't think it would take that much for Deserto to improve a reasonable bit. But I don't know. I think they've made the wrong decision personally. But Sam's definitely good. Like, no disrespect to Sam. I think he's sick, and under any other circumstances, he'd be a good pickup. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think even like you can't help, like talking about Greg here, you can't help but cool somewhat, even if you're not like trying as hard as you would be when you like last season with Infused or whatever. Like you can't help but point things out and say things, and that would help them a lot more. Like Sam's never really had experience in a stable team for an extended period of time.
Yeah, from my point of view, like when people say I'm not keening it, like I think like when people miss the point of that. Like when I come into games and stuff, I'm still going to like keen and it will actually play, but it just means I'm not going to be bothered like playing DM every single day sort of thing. Just I can't be bothered to waste like 2 hours of my day doing that when I'm really busy anyway. And I just want to have a bit of fun, and I play better when I'm having fun. But like it's they've gone with Sam, and the thing with Sam is that he's looking to improve, which is good for the team because like they all want to look to improve. But yeah, as Keda says, like there was a lot of things. I only played with it for 2 days, and there was so many different things I had in mind to tell the team about. But yeah, it's no problem at all. Like they can end up coming to the conclusions themselves in 3 months' time. So, but yeah, Sam is a good player, and should progress on with them and help them all progress together. But if they wanted to jump up quicker, I don't think that's the best player. But obviously, it's hard for me to say. because I was there and it's me that I'm talking about. So,
You might have some bias in this.
yes, exactly.
I think
So,
in terms of like how Sam fits into the team, he fits in perfect. I think he's a very similar level to most of them, with like similar like attitude toward the game, at least toward like some of them, because I know that some of them aren't exactly serious. But like I don't know, I think Sam is perfect, like perfect for them, like specifically if he's kind of tailor like a scout to how he fits into a team. But I think the fact you were willing to join, I think that should have been like a dream come true for them, and it's just really bizarre for me. I guess Skiege says he didn't have much hand in the decision, so I guess it was probably the slightly more laid back members of the team who kind of put their foot down on that one, which is kind of weird because that's the reason I heard you weren't allowed to join because you weren't serious enough. I don't know. It doesn't make any bloody sense.
I don't know. I don't really care, to be honest with you. That night, literally after that, I just talked to Byte, and I'm now back up for TCM, just scout back up for them, which is the next bit of news. So I'm just chilling out, and if they need me to play, can still play. Still, it should be pretty good. Xerox isn't around that often, from what I gather, so I have to wait and see how much I actually play with that. I mean, we played today, didn't we, and stuff like that. But I have to wait and see. I don't know, Kalis. Do you know how often Xerox is around?
I think he can do like 3 nights, or like most weeks he can do 3 nights. So obviously everyone's like extra busy sometimes. So like 3 nights, I guess. I don't know how much we actually plan to play.
Yeah.
But like, but there's some days where he's like, I don't know, like he said, I don't know who. I think he was talking about his girlfriend or his wife or something. He said she was packing and he had to help her out or something, so he had to skip second PCW yesterday. And things like that. So he's like on and off, on and off. I think he's quite busy in his real life.
Yeah, it's fair enough. But yeah, that's pretty much the TCM news. Not much going on there. Let's go on to QN. Zabby, do you want to talk about this one?
QN, yeah, basically Boomy's joined to fill the hole that Ips left, and I think that is a sick pickup for them. On all levels, calling, DM-wise, like no offense to Ips, but Boomy's just got more experience, better aim, sort of better in-game, like he's just better. Sorry, Ips.
I don't think Ips is going to take offense to that. Like Ips has been saying to me all week, like how much he's enjoyed playing with Boomy in that brief stint where they were playing with Stance and Harry Hook. Ips was very like impressed with how Boomy played, and he felt like he could learn a lot from Boomy if they were to like keep that going long term. So I think Ips will be happy for QN that they got Boomy.
Yeah, Josh is a really, really sick player. He adds so much to a team when he comes into it, and especially a team that's looking to progress into Prem like that. Like he's got so much experience that he can, bring to the side. I don't actually know if he's calling in it. Like from what I heard when I talked to him, he was taking a more laid back approach in the game, which actually he prefers, like rather than having to call, because like he preferred it in Yo-Yo Tech when you were calling Cadus and stuff. It's makes you play so much better if you're not calling. So he's enjoying it so far, I think, and it's a really good pickup for QN. Like I don't think they could have picked anybody better, honestly.
No,
Really?
It was literally perfect. That is the pickup that Deserto turned down basically on Scout for me. Even though Boomy's probably a bit better than you, Greg, but the same kind of thing going on there.
Thanks, Cadus. That's whack.
It's really
both a compliment and a not. Oh, fuck you! I'm just gonna say that.
It was a really awkward silence, like after I said that. I felt like feelings.
Right.
I slipped a mumble, by the way. Sorry.
Do you want to talk about Josh, Zabby as well, or?
No. Like just echoing your comments, really perfect pickup. He'll add so much to the team, and especially if, like you said, if Boomy's not having to call, he can focus on his own game a lot more, and I think he'll play even better.
Yeah, indeed, and he'll just keep everybody in line and help them progress through and wipe out all those small mistakes that the Div 1 teams make when they go into Prem. Right, the next topic is a bit of something that Zabby wanted to add. It's like all these like unteamed players that are around. Where have they gone to? What sort of backup spots they got to? I think Zabby knows more about it than me, so I'll let him go for it.
Just a quick clean-up of like the Suckers joined that Did I Stutter team, which is I think is a group of Swedish people in Div 2 or 3. Civix joined for Justice League, which is like that team with Dr. Justice, Old Grandma, Poxy, and those guys. And Zappis is playing like off-class backup for some lower div fin somewhere. That's basically just a bit of a clean-up of all the teamless players
How
that we
bad do you
talked about in
feel?
previous episodes.
How bad do you feel for the other players of Justice League having to play with Poxy, Trick, and Thalash all constantly switching to Sniper whenever they feel like it?
Oh God, is that really what the team is?
It's Thalash and Poxy
Poxy
are scouts, and Trick and Old Grandma and our soldiers.
Oh
And
my
then is it Fish and
God.
Justice.
Oh, apparently Poxy quit, even though I
Hero
was fun
Scout.
playing earlier. Oh well, that's still Trick and Thalash and fucking soldiers. Jesus Christ.
Oh, if I was in a team with those players, Jesus, it would wind me up so much than just switching to sniper all the time. Honestly, I just play full-time pyro, like just to get it into their heads. Like, wow.
I don't think that would phase them though. That's the problem.
Yeah, they'd be like, "Oh, he's playing pyro.
Alright.
I can snipe now for full-time as well." Yes. All right. Let's move on to the next topic. Let's go to Esports 7, the two cups that have been going on. Started a little bit ago for the Angel Cup, and then Velociraptor started tonight. Is it Velociraptor? Is that what it? I don't even know.
What they're calling
Honestly,
it.
Yeah,
there used to be 5v5 Cup, which thank God the admins decided to, or they managed to get an extra prize, and they've decided to make it into a 6v6 Cup, which commenced tonight. But let's talk about Angel first. So, Zavi, do you want to go into it?
Drop that one, Minnie. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, basically, coming up this week, is it tomorrow? Epsilon and Crackland are going to finish
Why don't you
their
talk
game
about the games last week as well? Yeah.
last week.
First,
All right,
yeah.
that's in my knowledge. Well, basically, everything went basically as planned until maybe a little bit where Epsilon got pushed to a 3-2 on Freight, their least favourite map, against that Justice League team featuring Tavik, how we talked about earlier. Then we went on to the upper bracket round 3, and again I think the results went as planned. Infused beat the TCM mix, UV beat the Reg mix, Crackland beat the Avenue, which I think was like a damage control mix, and Epsilon beat Oh My God It Is. And then it goes on to the upper bracket round 4, which was Infused versus UV. Infused had to use a couple of mercs, but did eventually win the golden cap to go past UV.
Did they use one or two marks? I thought it was just one.
Was
I
it
heard they
just
just
one?
only
Just
used
Brago.
Brago from
Yeah.
Trick 17, was it? Yeah. And I went to Golden Cap, so pretty close game there. I heard that Vanilla TV casted it, but I think something went wrong with the board. I think there's just the Golden
Leave the
Cap
golden
up.
cap. Yeah, so
Yeah.
And from what I heard, I think Hitman got 46 frags in the actual game time, like the first 30 minutes for UV, which is pretty impressive, really.
Yeah.
Mediocre at best.
I've seen worse performances. Actually, I've not
That-
seen worse, but I didn't see it at all because the VOD broke.
Yeah, so that was a pretty good game from UV, to be honest. Pushing Infused all the way, trying to cause an upset. Unfortunately, didn't get knocked to the lower bracket. Yeah, do you want to keep going with the game, Zavi?
Well, that's basically it until we hit next week, where UV will play Quarantine.
Okay.
The TCM mix will play the loser of Crackland versus Epsilon, and Infused will play the winner of Crackland versus Epsilon.
All right. Yeah, so as well, like some of the lower bracket games that happened were TCM versus the Certo, which went to Golden Cap as well. That is on a VOD, well worth watching, to be honest. We went to 5-all, I think, before going to Golden Cap. It was a good game. And the other lower bracket game that happened was, as I open it up, Avenue versus Quarantine. Avenue being Tarkus's team, is that right?
It's like,
I think-
damage control. It's like Pole, Rebel.
Oh, it's the damage control, is it?
Jackal,
Okay.
Tac. Yeah.
Yeah, and they got trashed by Quarantine. So it's Quarantine versus UV on Thursday, and TCM, or No Name Found, versus the loser of Crackland versus Epsilon, which is happening tomorrow now, I think. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure it's going to happen tomorrow. Me and Admirable should be casting it as well. It's just a single map on Gullywash. Do check it out. Should be good, but the winner of that will play Infused. The loser of that will play against Quarantine. Play against TCM in the lower bracket. So Thursday should be some good games as well, really.
According to Vanilla, that the Epsilon Crackland game has been changed to Wednesday now, rather than Tuesday.
Really?
Yes, indeed. I saw earlier that they were trying to contact Epsilon, talking about a reschedule. So, looks like it's gone through.
Right, well, I won't be casting it. I'm working on Wednesday, so...
Well,
there you
I'm
go,
off
Ads.
Wednesday. So
add some
tag
Commander
me
X
in,
then.
sub me in.
So hopefully it will be casted by somebody. Should be a good game. And then Thursday, of course, we'll have really good games as well. Me and Ads are available then, so we should be casting that as well. Looking forward to it. Of course, the upper bracket will be a best of 3. Will be Infused versus the winner of Crackland versus Epsilon. And, if Epsilon go through, it'll be a repeat of the ETF2L finals. Can Epsilon come back and, prove that they are still the dominant team in Europe? We'll have to wait and see with that. But that's pretty much it for Angel's Cup. Of course, the prize fund being money from Angel, €750. So much thanks to him for that. And that's about it. Anything else to add, guys? No? Awesome. Let's move on to the other cup, which happened tonight, actually. So, Velociraptor Cup, it was, we talked about it a little bit earlier about the prizes and stuff. Eventually made it into a 6v6 cup. Thank God for that. And I'll quickly go through some of those results tonight. So Infused made it through pretty much unscathed. In fact, they went 2-1 against Quarantine. I think Infused had 2 mercs. So I don't know how close that game actually was. I've not talked to anyone from either team. Oh my God, it's actually lost out to the Justice League on Gravel Pit as well. Let's see what else is going on. So that means that it's the Justice League versus Infused. I don't know actually what map that is. Upper bracket round 4, so that's the quarterfinals on Badlands. Okay. And then did Equilibrium beat Trick 17? That result's not gone through. I think Equilibrium beat Trick 17.
Yeah, they did.
Okay. TCM got through versus some Hungarians, so those two are at quarterfinals. Crackland made it through unscathed. Who the hell is that Finnish team?
Luton, isn't it like Lizard, Mind, and some other Finns? No,
some Finns made it through, but that means
Finns, I believe. Yeah.
Crackland in theory should make it through that. Too Strong made it through to play Epsilon. Epsilon actually has to play Deserto, and apparently it was a really close 2-1 from what I gather. Took forever. So I don't know exactly what happened there. Might be worth checking out that Source TV if we can get it, Zavi. As for lower bracket, I don't think there's much going on. So most of the interesting games will be happening next week on Monday yet again. So do make sure you play those games, of course, guys, if you are part of this league. Double a limb is pretty useful. And that's pretty much it for that. Should we move on to some actual gossip from ETF2L then? Let's have a look at the Prem teams, unless you had something else to add, Zavi.
I was going to say, do we want to do the award review first before we move on to that, or...?
Yeah, why don't we do the award review first? Let's leave people waiting. Okay.
So let's hooks.
Let's have a look at the awards. I don't even have them up, so Zavi, you might have to go through
them. I have them up. Let's show you. Let's start at the top. Scout of the season went to Shocky, which I think is pretty much...
Yeah,
I guess, yeah. But he won by a few hundred votes, really comfortably, from what I heard. Mike won Soldier of the season.
I can bring it up if you want, actually. Hang on, let me see if I can bring it up.
Oh, look at this guy. Flashing his admin badge.
Pose.
Flashing his admin badge and dropping it on the floor into a puddle.
Gonna get taken away from me by Grasp. Right, is this working? Yeah, so he won by 200 votes above Cookie.
Poor Cookie.
Yeah, indeed. Can you link it to Skyride, please, by the way, Zavi, so we can get it up on the stream as well, who won the polls and stuff. Right, which poll are we going for next? So I can get the actual one.
Soldier's the natural progression from Scouts.
Oh. Yeah, we'll talk about the Highlander thing in a little bit as well, for those of you that are just seeing that. Yeah, Mike won that by 350 votes. yeah, quite a little bit ahead there with Man in
Because like some
second.
Div 6 got put in.
Yeah, this is something I actually want to talk about. Like when we're actually here, why don't we talk about it here? Some Div 6 are called the Panic was one part of the admin polls. Back in season 7 or whatever, I got circle jerked into the nominations by Twisted Play. Like I was like the highest nominated player in the nominations thread, and didn't get put in the votes. Okay. Meanwhile, 4 or 5 seasons down the line, players are getting circle jerked into the nomination thread, and it's not being eliminated by the admin team. I've talked about it with one of the guys as well because this kind of came in after, happened after I came into it, and it's just a bit weird, really, from my point of view, that we allow that sort of thing to happen. But I think this might be like the last season of awards. I don't know what's happening as for next season, but why don't we just keep going anyway? I thought it'd be worth like saying that. I don't know if any of you have anything to add about having some randomer be put in the the polls even.
It's just stupid and very easily avoidable.
Yeah.
So I don't know why it wasn't avoided, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah. And
Anyway,
yeah, Mike definitely deserving winner, same as Shocky on Scout. Where are you going next?
Demo Man, which Numlocked won. I think helped a lot by that incredible performance in the finals, but I don't think he would really be contested with. I imagine he won by quite a margin.
Yeah, 350 or so. Cadus and Retshot got about the same number of votes, so miles ahead there for Seb. Are we going to add any more to these? We kind of talked about it last week a little bit, didn't we? We can't really say much more about what we would have voted because we did it all last week. Do you want to just rock through who came where, just instead of your
Medic of the season was F2, which is I would contest that for
Strange
Royals,
one.
but yeah, I think F2 wins it by default just because he's F2.
Yeah, he won it by quite a lot as well. So
really, wow.
Yeah.
Off-classer of the season, Vic won. That's justified. MVP of the season was Shocky.
Something I actually off-classer of the season. I just want to quickly. I've just opened up the voting poll. Right, the poll is actually still open, right? And as of this moment, Walters has more votes than Tavik. He has 2 more votes than Tavik as of this moment.
2 more votes.
So of course the polling's like theoretically ended a while ago, but some people probably still thought about voting and have voted, and actually Walters is now ahead.
Well,
so I think we can officially strip Tavik of that accolade and give it to Walters. Congratulations, Walters.
Yeah, I think that's only fair, to be honest. Sorry, Vic. Better luck next time, buddy.
So close and yet so far.
Keep going.
Yeah, surprisingly good team of the season was UV Gaming. Pretty fair. Upcoming talent of the season, Mr. G String. I don't know who that is, so I'm going to say justified. Fair Play Award, Team Colanash, whatever. Again, no idea. Let's go with justified. The awards team, yeah. And People's Choice Award goes to Angel, which I can say legitimately is justified.
Actually, I want to take that back. Where was Pirate Radio, guys? Like, where were you? Why were you not nominating us? I'm so disappointed in our listeners right now. Oh. But well, let's keep going. We've got a couple you missed out. MVP and debutant.
Oh yeah, I got confused because Tafik's name was there twice. Only one for real though. Clearly, yeah. Tafik won debut of the season. Maybe want to check for Sucker's not overtaken him or anything.
I'm trying to find the poll. The poll isn't even here anymore by the looks of it.
Kraft was taking them all down in a panicked rush. Oh crap! MVP of the season went to Shocky, which pretty fair, I'd say.
I haven't played F1 lately without Shocky. I would say that's a safe bet.
Yeah, I'm gonna quickly have a look at the MVP, see if anybody voted. Seb came second, like 200 behind Shocky. Retshop third, 100 behind Seb, so there you go. I can't find the debutant of the season. It seems to have magically disappeared off the polls.
You're being linked to it in the chat, apparently. There's plenty just a screenshot or something, isn't it, Crasp? Of
No,
forged results.
he sent me debutant of the season from season 10. So he sent me the quad one from the previous season.
Good save, Crasp. For you. We know who's winning admin of a season.
Yeah, unfortunately I can't find it. Let's just assume that Tavik won by miles. Yeah, he was the only person that was really in it. The sucker couldn't right click very well, could he? And that's just what happened. Oh, I'm being linked to by somebody else. Oh, they got it right this time. The sucker wasn't even in the vote. Why are you saying the sucker was going to win it?
I think we said the sucker should be in the vote, and therefore
Yeah.
I ignore what's actually happening. It's just whatever I want to be happening in my mind is what's really happening.
Yeah, so Tavik won by like 250. No, in fact, 350. I can't count though. 250 above Linus, then Trax in that order. So, yep, well played to Tavik. One of his awards does not get stripped off him. I find that hilarious. Right, why don't we talk about? Do you wanna try and do some of these? Last week we kind of talked about some awards that we would do as well on top of this, and we haven't really thought about it throughout the week at all. We came up with a few like topics, but I don't think we'll be able to do it. We've only got one worth.
I reckon we should go for the one we've actually got stuff written out for us. The other one we wrote down a week ago and then ignored for a week.
Yeah, go on, Zavi. You talk about.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the worst admin decision of last season. You get sort of the standard nominations, you know, the sort of like public map nomination threads, you know, public awards, etc. Yes, Craft for worst. As if there would be a... There was... Okay, we've got Freight being in the map pool. That was awful.
That was pretty low down.
The Foundry Decider rule.
You
You
might as well just stop there.
Wait, no, there's more. I mean, there's this other one from LAN. This is like the one that we can't blame TF2 for, which was like the gamer assembly delays where they played like the upper bracket final at like 1 or 2 a.m. because
this is something we wanted to talk about last season. Do you want to go into it, Zavi, or shall I?
You can go into it.
All right. Well, gamers assembly last weekend, the Saturday night, like. They're meant to play the TF2 upper bracket final at like 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. or something. Already pretty late. And apparently a load of players had entered the Shoot Mania tournament as well. Okay? So let's just get your head around this. You've come to the LAN to play TF2. You've signed up for TF2. Once you sign up to TF2, you're going to be playing by the schedule that the admins have put together. Okay? And you then enter the Shoot Mania tournament and it clashes. You're playing and they're clashing. And the admins of TF2 have decided to delay the TF2 Grand Final by like 2 hours because some of the Epsilon players were playing Shoot Mania. Like I've talked to a few of. I think I talked to Skeege and he said they didn't mind, but I think he's just being a nice guy, really. Like that would have pissed me off so hard. If that had happened to us, I would have like gone and fucking whined at the admins because that is not how it should work. And if that happened at iSeries, the multiplayer admins would go. Fuck right off to the other tournament. You're playing in this, or you're not playing at all. Like, or you're getting or default loss.
Default, yeah.
Like, and it meant that the grand final was played at like 2 a.m. Not the grand final. The upper bracket final was played at like 2 a.m. Like, what the actual fuck? That is a retarded rule that ruling that I thought we needed to talk about last season and last week even, but we didn't. Like, we kind of brushed over. I didn't think about it, so I thought I'd just bring it up there, and it definitely deserves to be in this nomination. I still don't think it's going to win though.
Because here's for one that really takes this skit. It was the 5v5 Cup. That was. At
least they went back on that one. Come on.
Yeah, but only because no one signed up. That's for real, because no one signed up. They weren't like.
It was literally like eight sign-ups by the day it started.
Wow, that is poor. Well, thank God that they sorted it out then at least, eh? And we actually got a cup. So for those of you that are in the IC chat, why don't you reel off what you think the worst admin decision of the season was? The season, not since the polls, guys. So not anything that's happened for the next season. Just before you start reeling off something else. So I think There's a few people voting for 5v5, allowing public vote. Okay. The length of ban, that was after the season, I think you'll find, Mighty Me. Cadus, what do you think? Worst decision?
I think it has to go to the Foundry, the Foundry rule. I think the 5v5 was fucking retarded, but like, like, in another world, I mean, maybe I can see why it's fun to experiment with game types. I mean, it was still fucking stupid, but the Foundry was just like unequivocally, like, non-contextually fucking stupid as it comes. So that's really got to take it for me.
Zabby?
Yeah, I'm completely with Cadus here. Like, just on every level, it was retarded. Like, at least with a 5v5 cup, like I said, there's sort of some distant, long shot, maybe it could work kind of things. But with the Foundry rule, there's just nothing to justify it in the slightest.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like when I heard that it wasn't going to be changed, like I literally spent like 3 hours writing so many different things that ETF2L could do instead of it, and eventually they changed it because of that. Like it was such a retarded decision, and then the even more retarded decision on top of it is they weren't going to change it. Like what the fuck? Oh god, that has to take it from me. I'm sorry to the other people that might be thinking of something else, no original, something else that wasn't put. But yeah, it's definitely the Foundry. God, right. We did have a few other topics written down that we were going to try and explore, but I've now deleted them, taken them off because we didn't have any actual nominations for it that we had thought about. But let's move on to what we think Prem's going to be next season. So I kind of wrote an article last week about it, and since then, stuff that I talked about a little bit or hinted at has happened or hasn't happened. So if I take a look down the list, you know, the top 3: Infuse, Crackland, Epsilon, guaranteed Prem. The 2 promoted teams of who are Equilibrium and UV. UV have said they're not entering, and Equilibrium. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Whoops.
So for those of you that are in the dark, Equilibrium, there was a cup, called the Sapphire Cup, which was a cup for basically it was for Div 2 players, Div 2 teams and below. Okay. However, if you were in Div 1 and 2, I think it might have been Div 3 and below even. I'm not 100%.
I think it was. You were allowed a certain number of players from above Div 2, but that was it.
Above Div 2, yeah. So I think you were allowed 3 players from above Div 2 so that the other players could play and enjoy a fun cup. But it was meant to be a fun cup, but it actually became a prize cup because Infuse gave away their prizes from the ETF2L Season 11. So they went into this cup, and this meant that a certain team named Equilibrium went, oh, let's win ourselves some free prizes. How are we going to get around all these rulings? Well, let's put 3 players in anyway from above Div 2. Yeah? And then let people use other people's Steam accounts. Because there's no way in hell anybody can find out our IPs or anything like that. Nuh-uh. Oh my god. How dumb do you have to be? Seriously, wow.
Free Kyler.
I hope to free Kyler as well. I like Kyler. Kyler's a nice guy, guys.
For free. Man, I feel bad for Kyler. He probably had no idea what was even going on, man. That guy's just running around fragging. He doesn't give a shit about politics.
I'm surprised if Kyler even has sound turned on.
Literally, like.
It's just his own thing. Doesn't even know he has a team, to be honest. He's just given an IP and connects.
Like, and for some people that are saying that Volum snitched, he did say to people that I know he did say to people, because I've got chat logs myself from somebody else about it. But I also know for a fact that the team that they beat were going to call them up on it as well. So there's no way. I don't think anything that Volum said is going to have any sway in the matter whatsoever. So
that Russian mix, or was that the team they were going to play? Because Forsaken
no, it was the team they beat before that were going to call them up.
Forsaken was playing for that Russian mix, and he also told me that they were getting a free on the next round because he knew Equilibrium were using that, players under accounts. So basically, everyone already knew whether Volum said anything or not, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, indeed. So Well, they fucking deserve it. Like, honestly, it's a
I know.
fun cup, so you can win a fucking keyboard. Like, seriously. Wow, that was just ridiculous. And
They're
the
quite nice keyboard.
players, the players got banned. Players that knew about it, so every player playing the game got banned for a season. And the players that were found
Who
to
accounts it?
be sharing accounts got banned for a year. Um, it was kind of down to the AC team, I think, were the team that were doing sorting this out. So I don't actually know how they worked out how long the ban should be really.
I think
Um,
it came down to the head admin's decision in the end, rather than the anti-cheat team.
okay, but I don't actually know because some people are saying that a year for this ban is too long. Um,
I think comparatively it's too long because they're actually being punished the same as people using like actual cheats, like in the actual season, like how long they get banned for. So if you think of it in that respect, it kind of seems a bit off because, like, really, it doesn't really seem like they're the same. But
but
I
then
think-
you're
as I said,
actively cheating people out and trying to win
I
prizes. Like,
think when you look at this happened a few seasons ago with that Turkish team that Forza was in with like a bunch of Turkish mates. They were caught account sharing to let Forza play. I think that might not be the actual story, but they were account sharing like that, and I think they all got a season-long ban, all of them. Which again is just sort of consistency issues.
I think the
Oh
thing
wait,
with
Sam's
this,
telling me now they all got 1 year.
the
So
thing with
maybe-
this as well is the fact that generally when people multi-account, it's because they have already been banned, so they're trying to work their way around a ban, and every time that's happened, they get an extra year put on their ban. Because I kind of
Yeah.
went back and had a little look. So, in theory, the other times that it's happened, they have been given an extra year ban, but that's because they're trying to work their way around a ban. Like they're trying to work their way into the league rather than. But then they're still trying to work their way into a cup. I don't know. I do think a year is slightly too long. I have to say. I think 2 seasons is probably enough. But I don't know. In theory,
I would say that like what the logical decision would be would to give them a year ban from all the cups. But since in the last 2 years ETF hasn't put out a cup worth half a turd, that isn't really a very good punishment.
It's already they don't
I think-
lose anything
I think
from it.
the decision I would have liked to have seen was the ETF to be able to decide to start doing some good cups again, and then ban them from them rather than banning them from the season.
you want the
I don't
good
know.
cups anyway, don't you? Like that. That's a personal thing. That's nothing to
But
do
it's
with
like,
that at
but it's
all.
like you can't punish them for what they should be punished for because, I mean, look, yeah, and then like CrossFit's ESH cups are the good ETF World Cups, but they're playing in the fucking easy ESH cups, which should be what they're banned from. They should like it's the same admin team. You should ban them from all the ESH cups and let them play like the season. And I'm a bit biased saying that because the lack of equilibrium in season 12 is going to be like it's going to be detrimental to the season as a whole. But I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. Obviously, I'll admit to being biased on the matter, but
I would actually. Speaking about that, when Josh was banned a while ago, when we got rebanned, we talked to Danusbir about whether we could play in ESH cups, and they used to have a ruling that anybody banned in ETFTL was allowed to play in ESH. So I don't know whether they could re-implement that or not, or whether they want to. It does add a lot more hassle to the teams and stuff, though, trying to sort that out. I don't know. I think we've probably exhausted this. Like the one thing that Cadis has said is that the lack of equilibrium from Prem is detrimental, and I agree. Really, like we'll talk about the rest of the proper Prem teams that we should get, but we'll have to wait and see. Okay, Cross said the ESH ETF2 ban transfer is for actual cheating, not for multi-accounting. So if you do cheat in ETF2L, then you are not allowed to play in ESH. But let's take a look at the other Prem teams then. So UV not in it, so that means that we've got the 3 teams from the top teams in Prem. Taimu, as we talked about earlier, is making this new team, which means that they should in theory be given a Prem spot because they had one, and they have 3 players from the original lineup.
they also
Or
have a
from
good
the old
lineup and should just get it anyway.
Yes,
They're
indeed.
also better than everyone else, really.
Yeah.
Like in their same sort of league.
Yep. So there's 4. So we need 4 more teams from the old Div 1. So Deserto Equilibrium, I'll give. Yep. And I guess you have to give it to TCM, and that leaves 1 more. So that's where I go, and I don't think you can find out who. I don't know who else you could
Did you
give
say
that.
equilibrium without meaning to say meaning?
Did I say Equilibrium? When did
You said
I say
Equilibrium.
Equilibrium?
You
Did I see?
said Deserto and Equilibrium.
Oh, Deserto and Quarantine. I meant, sorry.
Yes.
Deserto and Quarantine. That's what I was thinking when I said that. So I don't know if you guys want to add anything. Who do you reckon will be the last team, or how do you reckon these teams will get on Prem?
Can't see any of them really threatening. No, except for TCM, I can't see any of them threatening sort of the top three, as it were. Everyone in chat's saying Punchline. Someone said maybe that like finish mix if it happens. You know, with like Bib and Rib down, maybe if they turn up.
I doubt they will.
Yeah.
So, but this is the thing that I was saying earlier. That if you're saying that you want Punchline to be in Prem, think how bad Div 1 is going to be. I don't think that's any teams from the old Div 1.
I think
Possibly ISIS.
the Justice League are actually quite promising. I think there will be a nice Div 1 team, like coming up from Div 2. Just throwing that one out there.
Not
like
not
Justice.
to disrespect all the Div 1 teams, by the way, when I said that. I I'm just saying in relation to what it was last season when we had a really, really strong Div 1 that was awesome. You know, it was so close, and I really enjoyed Div 1 last season. And if you look at it this season, there's a lot of teams that are a bit dodgy. I mean, going into Prem last season, we kind of thought that Quarantine and Deserto might be up for taking the spot away from tryharders in Prem. And now, if you look at what Div 1 might be this season, are there any other teams that would be able to challenge a Prem team? I don't know. So,
No.
yeah, but you kind of forced to put Punchline in Prem, is what I'd say from that. But
And I was
then-
about to say as well, you can't punish Punchline just so you have some decent teams in Div 1.
yeah, but then if teams apply for Div 1, do you automatically? So let's say Punchline applied for Div 1 and they're good enough to be in Prem. Do you automatically put them in Prem, or do you go and ask them and
You
say,
have
"Do you
to
want to play
ask
in
them.
Prem?" And if they say no, then you can't put them in, or do you put them in?
You can't force them to play. You will play Prem. You can't, like, you have to ask for it. And that's what the process has been in previous times. It was
Okay.
you'd ask for team. That's like last season when with Exotic, they asked us and we were like, sure, and we folded. But
Okay.
but yeah, if you get the division you apply for in SEA, if they want to bump you up, they have to check with you first.
All right. Cool. Okay. So yeah, so that's probably what Prem is going to be. Do you guys want to add anything more about what I've just gone on for ages?
No, I think Prem looks better than last season, to be fair. Like, Div 1 looks like shit, but like all the Div 1 teams that were good last season, save UV and EQ, that got screwed over, but Deserto and Quarantine, who, in honesty, I think most people expected to be the two getting automatic promotion, not UV and EQ. Because EQ, if you remember, were actually terrible at the start of the season, but then picked it up shortly after it started, and UV just came out of nowhere. But Deserto picking up Sam, and also their general development over the course of the season, I think that makes them like probably in a stronger position than some of the teams going into Prem last season were in. Like if you think of Carnage, like how that unfolded for Carnage, I think Deserto are a lot more stable than that, so that probably won't happen to them, and I think they're probably around a similar level. Same story for Quarantine. I mean, they were disappointing for me last season. I thought they would do better, but I think now they have Boomy. I think they really will, give it a good go in Prem. Like, I don't think they're going to challenge like the top, but I think they're the kind of team that could steal points. And like, I don't know, for them to be like I guess reasonably they're like sixth or seventh seed in the Prem. Like if you think who was sixth or seventh seed last season, I wouldn't really have expected anything from who was sixth or seventh in Prem last season. Like, but I think QN at least have it in them. Like as they proved today, granted Infused had Mercs.
Yeah, I agree. Right. But we have to wait and see really how it unfolds. Of course, we don't actually know what the Prem will be until the provisional divs are actually put out. That's just our speculation. I assume that it's probably going to be something like that. Let's talk about the ruling that was made, or the map vote that was made the other day. A week later, we sat here with Gravel Pit and Obscure. Okay. Who wants to go first? Should we talk about Gravel Pit first or Obscure first? Should we keep them waiting for Obscure? Let's talk about Gravel Pit.
Let's do Gravel Pit because I think it's simpler.
Yeah,
I like
definitely.
Gravel Pit. Gravel Pit's
Yeah.
always been played since season 1. Everybody likes Gravel Pit, really. It's like the staple. It's a staple map of TF2. It's always been played. It always makes tense, exciting games. It's great to spec.
Yeah, I I
basically.
completely agree. The one thing that people dislike about Gravel Pit is that people don't like PCWing on it, which is just like something that's been like put across Gravel Pit is that no one ever wants to PCW on it. Like if people actually got out their asses and decided to go, oh, do you want to play PCW on Gravel Pit tonight? People might go, oh, okay, or they'll just be like, I hate that map, and it's just like, well, why do you hate it? It's because you don't play it very often, or because it's not a 5v5 and you're not constantly like getting frags. Like Gravel Pit is just a map which is a bit different, which means you're not fragging all the time, and for some reason that just makes people not enjoy it. Like, I don't know. I think I really like the map. It adds so much more to the gameplay. It's a lot harder for medics, and it adds a lot more to your teamwork. And I guess that's probably why people don't like playing it. But I think it's a really, really good map and should definitely be part of the map pool. And I'm so glad it's still got in there. Like, so, Kalis, do you want to add anything about Gravel Pit?
Yeah, man, I agree. I like GPIT. I mean, I don't like GPIT. It's really, really stressful to play. Like, when I think of GPIT week, I just think of a really, like, long, boring slog. But then if I'm on the other end and spectating the games on Gravel Pit, then there really isn't any other than Badlands, and there's really no other map that I'd rather see. But also, what I think is important is that it's been in the pool, unlike the map that we're about to talk about. It has been in the pool from the start, and at no point has it been so unpopular that it got put out. So, like, even if it was bad, it's at least, like, consistently been approved of despite its being bad. So it's just fairly obvious that you keep it. Yeah, this is GPIT crass.
Same with how lots of people complain Granary's crap, but like crap and stalematey and slow. But there was almost no doubt whatsoever that Granary would be in the season once again. Like,
I enjoy GPIT more than Granary. Like 10 times more. I love GPIT. It's a really, really good map. I really do enjoy it, and I hate Granary. So,
I really like both.
but let's move on then. Let's talk about the one map, the one thing that most people here tonight wanted to talk about. Let's talk about Obscure. I didn't actually look back through when it was last played. Was it season 8?
I think 4 seasons ago or something.
So
3 or 4.
It was 4 seasons ago. Then was it? No, I think it was played for 2 seasons as well, wasn't it? Rather than just one. I think it was played in AFS as well as like season 8 or season 8 and 9. There you go. Leftism said season 8 and 9.
I'm pretty sure it was in 9. Yeah.
Then it got taken out for... No, wasn't season 9 the really shit season? Because it wasn't in season 9 if that was the really shit season. It must be the 8 and AFS that it was in, okay?
It was definitely
doesn't really matter.
Yeah, then season 9 was the last season that the TF2 admin team decided what the maps were going to be. And that's when the like new version of Obscure got released. Because I remember their season 9 was... TF2 were like, have 8 maps. Let's have Warmfront. Let's have Obscure Remake. Let's have, what was the other map? Bazillion. They had literally added those 3 new maps to the map pool that hadn't been in for like ages. So it's like, what the fuck is going on? Right? And that was the last time ETF2 admin team had the decision of the maps. Since then, we've had map votes. And Obscure Remake got voted into Season 10. And the like resounding thing of the people that voted for Obscure Remake was that they voted for Obscure Final. They thought it was the old version and not the new one. Yeah? Then it comes to the next season. Was it last season? Was it? Yeah, last season, season 11. The votes went, with Freight being last. Freight and Gravel Pit being last. And the next map that was voted, the next highest map that was voted was Obscure Final again. So while people are saying we don't enjoy the map, blah, 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 loads of people kicking off about it, it has had support in every map vote that's gone on since it's not been in the map pool. Okay? Something I just wanted to lay down before we started talking about it, and before people go, oh, I don't like it, blah, 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 because most people that don't enjoy something are the people that complain about it. If someone likes what they see, they're not going to write something in the comments. Kalis, do you want to go in first? Because you probably got a different viewpoint to me, so I'll let you talk about the actual map.
Well, I mean, personally, like, I don't mind Obscure at all. Like, to play it, like, I really don't have a problem with it. I quite enjoy it, but I'm really disappointed that it's in the map pool again, because I think if you just take a look, it's pretty obvious what's going on with these map votes. Like, last season, Freight won the vote. This season, Obscure wins the vote. 2 maps that are, like, horrendously unpopular. I mean, yeah, Obscure won the vote, but it got less than 50% of the votes, so it's still, like, a minority of people who are enjoying it. But, like, last season, Freight won, and that's a map that most people know. A lot of them don't like, but most people at least know it. Whereas the majority of people playing TF2 probably don't play any like pugs or mixes on custom maps. Like they don't try them, so they don't play them. So when they see their names come up in a vote, they just glance over them and they're like, "Fuck that! I've got no interest playing that." And so they vote for a map like Freight or Obscure, which at least, I mean, they might not like it, but they at least know it already. So it means it's really no effort to play it in the season. They don't have to like learn a new map, even if they don't like it. They just have to play it and get it over with. There's not like they have to go about learning all the strategies, learning the rollouts, all that kind of stuff. And I think it's pretty obvious for 2 seasons now that that's why we're seeing these maps coming back into the pool. Like it's not because they're actually good maps or people want to play them. It's just because no one's really interested in playing custom maps unless they're forced to.
Mm-hmm.
So I think as long as we have these polls, we're constantly going to see this pattern repeating because people just are unwilling to play maps unless they're forced into it. But I mean, if you look at Croissant from the other week, I'm not saying Croissant should have been in this season. Like maybe it's not ready. Like I haven't played it enough to really say. But if you look at Croissant, I mean, I don't think I heard a single Prem player say that they had any interest in playing Croissant. And then Angels Cup happens. He throws 500 quid on the line. And he says, "All right, fuck it, play this map, deal with it if you want the money." So everyone did, and then you have at least, I'll tell you, probably at least 3/4 of the people I've spoken to coming off the back of Croissant have said, "Yeah, it's really good. I really like it. It needs some more work and some more playtesting, but then it'll be good." So really, all it took was, a cup with an incentive to play it, like a prize part. Like, and there are a lot of these cups where there are prize parts. Like, at least there's 2 going on at the moment. One of them has custom maps, and it's done by Angel. The other, done by the ETF2 crew, doesn't have any custom maps. So it's like, all it really takes is some incentive to get people playing them. And I think it will get us out of this like horrible cycle where people just go with the safe vote.
Yeah, I guess that's a pretty good argument as to why people are voting for the other map. But then I have to say, coming back to it, is that I never had a problem with the old like Obscure final. You said that at the beginning as well. Like,
Yeah,
I really enjoyed the map. Like I really enjoyed the map. Like, fair enough. We had to play it a lot, so that's probably one of the other reasons. Like I think, the way that like Snakewater's got so much popularity as a map is the fact that first of all it starts off like a new map in the season. People like play a few games, like, oh, okay, this seems all right. They then play a couple of double mixes and they go, oh, this actually seems quite nice in the double mix. And then it just keeps going in the double mixes, which means people are playing it so much more, which automatically makes a map like gain in popularity just through that. And I think for other maps to kick off, you have to start actually being played more, people wanting to play them, like Obscure, like Croissant, like Freight. We had to try and get them. You have to try and actually start playing them outside of PCWs as well, like rather than just playing the same old maps over and over again. And I think that's something that really needs to happen for like some new maps to come into the pool, because that's exactly what happened with Snakewater. As for Obscure, but I like that map. I didn't even vote for it. I voted for Croissant and Gravel Pit, and I like Obscure, and I'm happy with it being in the map pool. Like some people probably aren't. It's really stalematey at points. A lot of people hate pushing last. I've never had a problem pushing last really. The stalemate point is second to third, because for some reason you can't push from second to third at all if the other team just wants to sit on middle. So really hard map to push that way from when you're like down a little bit. The same as what I would say Warmfront is like quite hard to push back from, but apparently people can push back. So I have to wait and see what really happens. Like the map voters happens, right? It's what people have voted for. Is what I see. Savvy, do you want to talk about it?
I think like there's all sort of argument of I don't think Obscure's that bad, but I think we get into a very sort of rock paper scissors argument about the 6th map, as in, well, Obscure has its good points, it has its bad points. Turbine has its good points, it has its bad points. Croissant, has potential, but it's not fully tested. This whole sort of like looping argument when there's no clear winner, and there's like, so why have a 6th map if no one can agree? If there's no favourite, why have one at all? Like, why not just have a 5-map pool and play these new maps, try and bring them into competitive in like the Angels Cup and stuff, give them an opportunity to be play tested there instead of this whole.
If you like put it as a 5-map pool, players won't try and play anything else. I think is something that's really important to look at. I think if we're going to do something like that, we should do You should do it differently. You should do it the American style, where they have 5 maps. So let's say we lock down the 5 maps that we have, including Gravel Pit, even for those of you that hate it, including Gravel Pit, it needs to be in the pool. And do the way the Americans do and have a map vote, but only for new maps. So there's a new map that gets put into every season. But then having said that, you then get the sort of thing where like Bazillion was put in, which was fucking awful.
But you
So
have stand-in put in.
yeah, but then we might get follower put in, and I love that map. It's so good. I
But again,
think
no one's. You're not getting no majority will be happy. Like even with obscure, it's not the majority that's happy. It's the biggest minority is happy. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think first off, like one thing that I've always stood by is that you need an odd number of maps in a map pool. Like it's just makes it so much simpler when you come to the playoffs and stuff like that. Just makes it so much easier for everybody when that happens. So a 5-map pool would be fine in my books, but I do think that like you can't just let the scene completely stagnate in its maps. Like Pledge was arguing to have a 4-map pool, and it's just like that is total bullshit. Like you need more maps. It's like you need more ways for the top players to like explore how to play the class, on a certain map, how to improve and actually play together on something different, something that like broadens their horizons and like actually broadens the gameplay of TF2 completely. Like, but it's so hard to come up with the new map, and it's kind of got to the point where Croissant needs to be here, but it's not been put in. So we're now going to wait another season before it does get put in. Yeah, something that I've just want to say is that Obscure got voted for more than Gravel Pit. So that is something very worth saying, is that Gravel Pit has been played forever and people still haven't voted for it less than Obscure. Like, I think it's the same as Freight, where you have illusions of a map when you haven't played it for a while. Come mid-season, people are going to be like, "Oh God, not Obscure again." But I really enjoy it, and I think if people actually started playing it more and develop more strategies on it and stuff like that, rather than going into it thinking it's this stalemate sort of thing.
Like in Freight this season, has anyone really developed loads of new strategies for Freight, or has everyone kind of just gotten through it, like begrudgingly just gotten through Freight?
Something that I want to add about the Freight, about Freight in particular, is the fact that it wasn't in the playoffs meant that no one kind of could be asked to play it. Like the Prem teams that were in the already guaranteed playoff, pretty much, apart from Infused, didn't really have to think. Apart from Infused, because we actually tried to think and tried to play on it. Like, it felt like they were just playing it to get it out of the way with. They played PCWs on it, fine. They did play quite a lot of PCWs. It's not like they just sat there and ignored it. But they didn't like it very much, which meant they couldn't be bothered to try and learn strategies on it, try and fix what was going on in their gameplay, which meant that when it came to the officials, it wasn't the best gameplay. But if it's forced to be in the playoffs, then they have to go and look at it. And I think that adds a lot more to the map and makes people try and work on it a little bit. And I do think that's what Freight lost out on in last season. But then having said that, like, I did like the fact that Freight wasn't in the playoffs when I was in Infused, and now that I'm not, I'm like, I'm a bit, because I'm not going to be in the playoffs, or possibly will be, you never know at this point. But from my point of view at the moment, is that I'd like much rather have more maps. I don't know. If I was still in Infused right now, I'd probably still want Obscure to be in there and played in the playoffs as well. I have to say, I don't know what other people would say. A lot of Prem teams, Prem players even seem to think that why the fuck have we got Obscure back into it? I don't know. Do you guys have anything more to add?
I think I want to talk a bit about the sort of the decision-making process for the maps. I think is flawed as well. Sort of taken away from whatever map won, or haven't percentages won, or whatever. I don't think the system is the right way to pick maps for a league. Like this sort of everyone's vote counts for the same.
Well,
kind of
I'm
thing.
pretty sure that ETF2L are looking at changing it for next season because of this, because of what happened last season.
But it's been so long, has it?
But then I look back yet again at season 9 for you. Okay, so I look back at it right now. And sitting there and looking at that map pool, it made me want to throw up. Like, 8 maps, the new Obscure, which hadn't even been played yet by that point, the new I mean, what New Bazillion, which had been played like 3 times by people in like some in Skyride's pickup channel, and Warmfront back in it, which hadn't been in the season for like it hadn't been played for like 3 seasons. Like that is the last season the ECF2O admin team decided to chose the maps, guys. Like I would much rather be in the situation we are now, where we're arguing over a map choice that is obscure. Like I'd much rather be where we are now than back then, looking at that map pool.
But
Like
you can't just. They should have picked better maps. Like in every sort of in every like other competitive esport competitive like proper sport, like it's a top-down system. Like say I was organising MLG, I wouldn't go right. I need the best StarCraft maps. I better go poll the Bronze League because the Bronze League has the most players, and therefore that's what most people like.
I don't know. I do agree with that completely, but then those players are playing the maps as well. Like the maps that the players in StarCraft are playing are different to what the competitive format is. Completely, because the maps on the ladder are different maps to what are played in like competitive MLG tournaments, competitive GSL tournaments. They're tweaked, the maps, or totally new ones for those tournaments. So I think that's complete rubbish. So because the lower players aren't playing the same maps, so it's not the same thing.
Okay, but I still think, like, me and Leon talked about the other day, Costa's been saying in chat, as sort of weighted votes. Leon talked about, like assembling, like, he called it the TF2 council, but, like, kind of a group of the top players that, like, represent each team, and having them vote on, like, 6 maps or whatever, and having their vote weighted against the community, like, the public vote.
So, like, you're saying that because there's so
say
many
you've
more
got,
lower
like-
players, like your vote should count for like 50 instead of counting for 1.
For example, you get like a group of all the top players or a representative from each team or whatever, and their votes for each map count for like 60%, and then the public vote counts for 40% or something that's open to everyone. And that way they still get a say. So if the public overwhelmingly loved Obscure and voted like 99% of people said we want Obscure, Obscure would still get in because everyone loved it.
But like, what would those players decision come to? Like, they wouldn't pick Croissant. You would probably end up playing Gravel Pit, and I don't know, if you had to pick 6, then I guess we'd end up with a new map or something that hasn't been played for a while. I doubt it would be Freight. I think we'd probably end up playing Turbine again. Oh, such a good map. I love that map that I wouldn't mind. I think there's probably a better way of doing it, and I think the ETFL admin team need to look at it come next season and not be a public poll vote. I think they need to get the opinions of the Prem teams.
I think they're basically scared of taking any responsibility because to be fair to them, they have taken like a lot of bashing like over the years. But if you look back on that map pool you were talking about before with like Bazillion and whatever, like it's no fucking wonder they got a massive bashing for that. But I think since then it's like, holy shit, this is what happens when we try to actually use our fucking brains. So let's just put these brains of ours aside for a moment, like put all the responsibility off on the community. And then when it comes up with maps that some people don't like, then they can just point to a poll. They can just point to a poll and say, "This is what you wanted." Basically, they need to just take some responsibility at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Well, what maps would you guys have? What did you vote for?
I voted for Gravel Pit and Turbine.
Mm-hmm.
I voted for Gravel Pit and Croissant. Like, to be honest, with what was there, like, I don't know. I just really have this thing where I think we should have like one new map like in each season. Like, I think more often than not, it will be the new map going out and another new map coming in. But for me, it's just so fucking pointless to keep returning to these maps that have tried, come close, and failed. Like, but people always remember things as being less shit than they were. So people are going to play Obscure for a season, and then everyone's going to whine about it. And the next season, Obscure is going to be gone, and then like
Warmfront will be back, and then the season after Freight will be back, and the season after Obscure will be back. Yeah.
But basically, all it means is we're just delaying like the inevitable, like, because a new map is going to come along eventually and go in the pool, but we're just like delaying like actually finding another new good map, because I think Croissant could be a good map. I also think Toxic, if the developer gets some of the shitty ideas that are floating around his head out of his system, that could also be a decent map. I think there are decent custom maps out there at the moment, but an unwillingness to play them. But I think it's really partially the admin's responsibility to make sure people play them, but not necessarily the admin's responsibility to decide which maps. Because I don't know, historically they've proven they really have no ability to pick the maps, but they certainly need to take responsibility in ensuring that like there is something like that going on. I mean, like I said before, I won't go into it again. Like the Angels, the Cup, like that. Like in this Velociraptor Cup, like I mean, maybe they couldn't have predicted Angels Cup, so they really didn't know that anything like that was going to happen. But like, I don't think new maps should be tested in the season per se. I mean, obviously, until they get in a season, there will always be like, you know, a little bit of uncertainty. But like these kind of cups are just absolutely perfect for it. So when you have these cups, if there are decent custom maps floating around, you should try one of them. Like not really more than one because that's just too much. But like for the first round, second round, that kind of thing, like throw Croissant, throw Toxic, or those kind of maps, like whatever you want in there. I mean, it's the first round, so no one's really going to care that much, especially if there's a lower bracket.
I think you need to throw it in at the third round, like a later stage, if there's a lower bracket, for sure. I think we need to have these teams playing against each other. Like I mean, like when we had to play when the No Name found to play Infused on Croissant the other week. Like if I played with that team on Croissant versus some Div 5 team, I wouldn't have liked it.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
It would have been hard to measure how good the map is when you're winning 5-0, no matter what.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
I don't think I would have liked it at all. I think we had to play it. So I think it has to be later in the tournament. And I think it has to be in a double elim because if you are infused, you end up getting perp against, let's say, the TCM team, Croissant, okay? And let's say TCM managed to beat them. Like, that's from a team that's, in theory, should be getting to the final, is, like, so frustrating because it's just a random new map that you haven't had a chance to, like, properly play yet. I guess when you sign up, you know that the map's going to be there, but do people play if they see a map and a puck cup? I don't know. I doubt it. I think you have to do it in a double elim, and I think when it is in the double elim, I think you have to put it quite late into the bracket, into the upper bracket side. That's what I'm saying anyway for that.
Yeah, I think I agree, to be fair.
I want to talk about the actual season that's coming up rather than like predicting going down the lines. Actually, before that, we've talked about like bringing a new map in, right? Would you prefer to see a sort of map vote like America where you vote for one of the maps to get taken out of the map pool? So let's say this season, you know, so 6 maps, everyone votes and we go, oh, we don't want Freight in the map pool anymore. That gets taken out. And then for the new map, we just have any new map that's out put there and voted for. Do you reckon that would work? Or do you reckon you should just have the admin team just pick one, take one out, put one in? As a better ruling compared to what we're doing now. And then that doesn't include like any of the old maps that have been played before and been eliminated out and voted out. You guys don't have to say.
I know it's hard. Like, I think I would. Yeah, I'd rather see something new because let's face it, Obscure has failed. Like, Obscure was made and it failed. It was rejected.
I disagree.
No one's played it in like a year. How is that not failing?
Well, like I've played it. I still enjoyed it. I loved playing it when we were at LAN. I still enjoy playing it. It's like fucking Viaduct. I still enjoy playing that map. Like,
yeah, but these maps have like they failed to become established in the same way Gullywash and Snakewater have. Like they failed that.
I just think
like,
everyone
the
has
excuse that people. The excuse that people don't know the map is really like that's the barrier for trying these maps. Once they've been tried, if they don't stick around, like I mean, I know there was a new Obscure that was brought around, which kind of fucked things up. But if there was a new version of Gullywash like tomorrow that sucked absolute shit, like and made Gullywash get taken out of the pool, people wouldn't be like, oh, goodbye Gullywash. I guess we'll forget all about that then. They would be like, nah, fuck this shit. Let's get this old map back. Like let's get this back. And I guess that's kind of what happened now. But it just seems like it's been so long that the only reason for it is that it's just been so long, people have forgotten they actually dislike it, or just desperate and there's nothing better to vote for.
I think that if we come into the season and people actually play it a little bit in their like double mixes and actual PCWs, I think people will probably start liking it a bit more than what we're saying now. Like I think it's actually gone the wrong way, coming from some people didn't like it at the beginning and now it's gone and now they're thinking it's coming back, and any preconception they didn't like about it has been accentuated. They just like hate it now completely with a passion. And I think when it actually gets played, people will actually start enjoying it. Because like, to be fair, I always enjoyed that map, and That's what I'd say now. And
It works both ways, though. It works like the sort of you get the sort of like the haze of nostalgia where you only remember like the sick pushes or the sick shots you got on that map, and when other people will remember all the shit stuff like getting headshot every middle as medic because the sniper's on the fucking mile away on the other side behind a fence. Like it works both ways.
yeah, but then I still remember sitting there and fucking watching Button Bashers versus Epsilon when Button Bashers are sat on middle for like 10 minutes,
That's
and I still think I still enjoy the map.
That's because Epsilon came up with a strategy. Now the only way to win Obscure was to never push at any point ever.
Yeah, like so I still enjoy it. We'll have to wait and see what really happens in the season and whether people actually start enjoying it. I might, as you say, I might have a preconception where I think I'm going to enjoy it. But like, I still remember when we played with the Twisted Play, and me and Josh after the map got taken out were really confused as to why. Like to me, the reason the map got taken out is because Spike came up with a new one because some of the positions were a little bit bad that he wanted to change, which some people didn't ever think were needed to be changed, right? And then because the new one came out, everyone just brushed over the old one and were just like, and well, the admin team tried to put the new one in, and then that meant that Obscure wasn't ever in there, and then the new one got put in the next time, and it's kind of like 2 seasons down the line, people haven't even had a chance to play the old one again. I don't know. I think we've talked about this for quite a long time. Let's talk about the Golden Cap rule because this is going to be something that needs to be changed if we're playing Obscure. So we kind of had a talk about it a while ago. I think it was when Ads was here? No, it was you were here, weren't you, Zavi? When we talked about the Golden Cap rule. And
Yes.
we have to change it if Obscure is going to be in it. Purely because I'm not sitting there fucking watching Button Bashers Epsilon repeat.
2 to 3. Like if you lose mid, it's over, and the other team will just sit on mid, and you have to push from 2 to 3, and it's just over.
I'm not sitting there and fucking casting a game if that happens. God, so I think we came up with kind of like what I came up with what I thought it should be changed to, and I don't remember if you guys agreed, which was play 10 minutes. If the round is not over in 10 minutes, you then play another middle, and whoever wins the middle and actually caps the middle out is the victor.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that's what we should do. I don't know if you guys have thought of anything else while we're here now.
I actually had the same idea about 3 years ago.
Mhm.
And I posted it on the TF2 forums, and a couple of other people were like, "Yeah, that sounds pretty cool." But then, obviously, it just got ignored and got swept under the rug.
It got lost
Yeah.
in.
Here we
I
are, 3
remember
years
reading
later.
it on ETFTL forums. It's just why I remember
Yeah.
it stuff. I think it was either you or Josky or someone that I read it off. And
Yeah. I'm not like trying to take
Uh,
credit. I'm just like saying like perhaps it is the case that now, a year or however long later, we're now perhaps going to actually use something more sensible, like what was suggested all that time ago.
yeah, so I think that's what you got to go with the Golden Cap rule. Either that or make it like round time limit 5 and like just repeat until a round's
Play
won.
until someone wins.
Yeah.
But I feel the other one works better because like time limit does come into it. Like you have to draw the line somewhere because it could just get ridiculous if people keep
But
getting
you say that, but I know a Counter-Strike Source game that my mate played in that took like 6 hours to play. Normally when you draw it's 15 all, and it ended like 63 61 or something at the end. Like it took them forever to finish it. So it's
this
not
at a
like
LAN?
other games don't have a pause. No, it wasn't at a LAN. It was online. But it's not like other games that,
The thing is, like, you see a lot of time in TF2, people really do struggle to play late, like, because of how widespread across Europe our community is. People genuinely struggle to play late. Like,
Yeah, that's
you look
true.
at Quarantine. You look at Quarantine struggling to keep their starting 6 for the normal, so like 2 hours of PCWs, let alone.
That's because
Yeah,
Nuts
like-
works night shifts.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. It's not fair. Like the Russians, all the Russian teams will struggle with late
Yeah,
games.
that's true.
All of them do. And the Russian community is like a big part of ETF2, and there are a lot of Russian teams. Like you can't just go unlucky. You're going to have to just give up or play with 5 players or a merc.
Yeah, but will a game go on an extra hour if you have time limit 5? Really? Okay, I don't know.
It depends how.
I think we have to go with the other one where it's time limit 10 and after 10 minutes, whoever play another middle, or possibly up that time limit. add a few more minutes to that, make it 15-minute golden cap, and then after 15 minutes, then the teams play for middle.
Don't forget as well, like, a lot of the time these golden caps will come into play in cups as well. So obviously,
Yeah.
how badly do you want? How much can you afford to offset the?
Well, the
schedule?
cups and that sort of thing always seem to change their golden cap ruling to 5 minutes. So I think if you do change it to something like that, whether you can change the time limit on the golden cap, I don't know. It's probably something worth discussing if ETF2 decide to go that route. I don't know if there's any other proper ideas that people have. Cadus, do you have any ideas other than that?
No. I think it should just be you could potentially add more time on or whatever, but I just think as it is, just with a mid-fight,
Yeah,
would be fine.
Yeah.
Sufficient.
I think it's just a mid-fight. It's just good because obviously it's clear, everyone knows what the goal is. Because the problem I always had with the 10-minute, whoever has mid thing is the game changes halfway through without any warning. It's just circumstance suddenly dictates that what you need to do to win is different. Whereas if you always know that mid-fight is coming, and that's the case after 10 minutes, there will be this mid-fight, and whoever caps that will be the winner. The teams know exactly what's going on throughout the game.
Yeah, that's so true. You know that you've got a deadline to push last to try and win the round, and if that happens, you're not it doesn't suddenly change. You're something completely new to the whole of the TF2 scene, which never happened, which is rush to get last. Rush to get middle even. Sorry, fair enough. You have to push back, but you push back in your own time and that sort of thing. So it is something people do, but yeah. I think that's probably a much better way of doing it. And I think we talked about it before, and I think it would benefit on Obscure as well, and it would also make Obscure golden caps actually interesting, because you can't just sit there; you've got to go get around. So I'm pretty sure that's all we have for this week, unless anybody else has anything else to add.
You do. You do want to shout out about your.
Oh,
Highland
of course,
thing.
Yeah. So for those of you who haven't noticed, I'm going to put it in Pirate Radio now. It's just the Highlander. I've talked about it in a couple of other Pirate Radios, which is just basically a Highlander show match infused Epsilon Crack Clan. I've split up the teams now. I did that through a random generator. Teams are all sorted, but the classes are decided by you guys through a poll system on ETF2L. So do go onto the front page of ETF2L, and it's just the first news post there. All the polls are in the Read More, so if you press the Read More button, all 18 polls are there. You get to decide what class everyone plays. Please do vote for a team together. So please do think, we've got these 9 players, and then vote for everyone having a different class, because that just makes it so much simpler rather than vote
choose
for
a lineup.
Yeah, choose a lineup out of it. It makes it so much simpler for me. The way it's going to work is the person with the most votes for that class gets the class, pretty much. So that's how it is going to work. And we're in about a week and a half. On Wednesday, it will be going ahead and getting played, which should be pretty fun. It's going to be a 20 set. I haven't managed to get in proper contact with Vanilla TV guys to see if anyone can cast it, but hopefully someone will be able to. But it's just going to be really good fun. I don't know what I want to play, so I'm not going to hint at anything.
Vote for Greg for Spy, because I swear the other day you were like, actually, at Dead Ringer Spy, I'm pretty good, after we were berating you for being bad. So you're like, actually, I find when I've got Dead Ringer, I'm pretty good. So I want Greg to play Spy to see
just
if he
to prove
can.
my Dead Ringer skills.
See if he's just blowing smoke up my ass, yeah.
So so it'll be for standard ETF2L rules. I don't even know what they are for Highlander, but I think it's just every unlock and it's a bit of fun. If you know what,
There's a couple of unlocks that are not allowed.
Okay,
it's basically the same.
Yeah, and if you know what maps you want to play, so far I've decided on 2 of the maps. If you have a third map that you think should be played, just post it in the comments on that page or PM me. Either way, because at the moment I think it's Badwater and Viaduct, and then I'm going to pick a 6th. I'm leaning towards Foundry, just because it's on a 5CP map, but I think maybe another... Upward.
Upward's normally good for Highlander, yeah.
Yeah, I was considering another Payload map, because I think Payload is just so much fun.
Highlander.
So it should be good. But yeah, I'm considering another 5CP, but it could be over quite quickly with a sort of 5CP, so... yeah, please just let me know. I'm really looking forward to it, actually. It should be a bit of fun. For those of you wondering why I'm playing instead of Joe, is because Joe's dissertation is due in soon, so he's a little bit busy. So I am playing instead. If any of the players can't play, I'll be asking the old Yo-Yo Tech team to play. So like Cicadas, Tavik, Sucker, Linus, some of the SNSD guys, in fact. So they might actually know how to play Highlander. But it should be good fun. I think Nox might not be able to make it, but other than that, I think everybody else is available. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But please do go vote for everyone. And someone has suggested to me, it's actually Beef from SNSD has suggested that the winning team plays against SNSD. I haven't suggested
that
it
would
to
just be
any,
embarrassing for everyone.
I haven't
Everyone from the
suggested it
top
to any
three
of
getting
the teams to do that, but I think they're probably up for it as well. So if that does happen, it'll be a bit of fun. So yeah, please do check it out, guys. I'm looking forward to it, and if you're going to leave Wednesday open and watch it, it'll be awesome. That's pretty much it from me. Anybody else shout outs before we go?
Nah.
Cadus?
Nah.
Right, well, that's it for us then. Thank you very much for joining us this week, guys. It's running quite late, but it's quite a lot to talk about. Hopefully, we will see you next week. Actually, back on normal time on Sunday, because I'm not working, unless Zavi... I don't even know. If Zavi's working, then we have to move it.
I can't get my rotor up quickly enough, yeah, just...
Okay, yeah, we'll sort it out another time. We'll let you guys know in advance or slash on the day, pretty much as per usual. I think the provisional divs will be out come next week, so that'll be something for us to talk about. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. I've been Greg. Joining me as usual, Cadus and Commander X. Skyride streaming for those on the stream. Thank you very much for joining us. See you soon.